All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rise Urban Nation. I got a special treat in the building. I didn't know this until about a few minutes ago that I got my sister from the DMV area, and my brother is in the house. He's probably gonna take us back to the Caribbean somewhere and make us wish we had a feast. Mwale and Chantel Henry, founders of League of Experts, sound like superheroes coming into the building. I see they got the best. For those of you getting the visual experience, you'll see the Best Sellers Academy right behind them. I told them I'm gonna have to have their publicist talk to my publicist so I can get to the next level like them. How are you both doing this fine morning?
We are fantastic.
Really, really happy to be here, Terrell, and also to your community. It's an amazing time, and yeah, we're little superheroes, but I know you have a superhero community, and we're really excited to talk to your peeps and really to bring the energy to the room.
Yes, and we're excited to have you because when I saw your speakers notes, you're into a lot of the things that I know me and my team are trying to get into, from writing, publishing, intellectual property. You're doing the business strategy, and on top of that, marriage and business. I don't see too many power couples that balance both of those. So I'm gonna have to get your life lessons as we go into this. But before we dive deep into that, a question I always like to ask my guests coming into it: who is Mwale and Chantel Henry? And I know that's a deep question, and you could take that as far and as wide as you want to go, but break it down for the people. Who are you?
A good question. In a nutshell, our core mission, as a couple, as CEO, COO running the League of Experts, our mission is really to live a life of significance and not just success. Because, you could be successful in various areas. For me, it was being the youngest management consultant in the Franklin Covey Institute, training and leading different corporations in Latin and the Caribbean Americas. That was a great, exciting time. But now that I've understood that life is not just about the successes and the accolades, but how you could be significant in terms of making the type of impact in the lives of people who matter, who require to be seen. So our mission is really lifting up the voice of the voiceless and people who have a lot of potential, and they just require an opportunity to magnify the impact. So that's been our goal. Apart from being a Trini from the Caribbean, liking my hot sauces and spicy foods, and um, and enjoying life. Even as we talk to you here, we flew out from Atlanta, but we're in Trinidad right now, vacationing with my family and stuff. So we're always on the go. So it's always how you can live life more fully and, more importantly, make the impact while you do so.
Absolutely. And together, we are certainly your your best friends at times, right? Because we like to have good relationships with the people that we work with. As parents, we're tough as nails, but as soft as a
Mhm.
pillow when our children need to. And as forever lovers, we are certainly those lovebirds that at any moment you'll say, "Oh, go get a hotel room. You're too gushy and too affectionate." But we like to keep things well rounded because at the end of the day, we are genuine people who like to meet other genuine people. So thanks again for having us on your show.
No, no problem. That sound like the kids talking. Like, go get the room, mom, dad. Like, we don't need to be seeing all that.
Exactly.
so I'm curious because it seems like families is thriving all into your organization. Like, how do you maintain all of that? How do you maintain that balance? Like, because people always talk about that work life balance, and I know Mr. Trini over here gonna hit me with some Franklin Covey stuff, because yeah, that's the creme de la creme of trainings. Talking about five choices and all that, but no, real talk. Like, how do you interweave all that and make sure it's flowing in the daily life of business, family, and everything that
Yeah,
that, that
yeah,
you need,
that,
from
that, that that's
husband to wife to business.
it's a really good question. For us, on a practical level, it's very difficult. All right, it's very difficult on a practical level, especially running your own business during the pandemic, having to move it into your home office space kind of thing. So literally, having a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, you know, the difference between the office and the home is just one door space, right?
And sometimes they don't even see the door, right? They just plow right into the space.
And during the times we lock it, they're sliding notes underneath. Can I come in? They're writing notes. So it's a difficult balance. But I'll tell you this, Terrell, what we've been able to discover together and the synergy together is a concept we encourage all our clients is living life undivided. Living life undivided literally means once you discover what's your unique call or how you want to serve more boldly, you no longer have to compartmentalize that. You don't have to say, well, this is work and this is play, because work now becomes play for us, right? It becomes something that we do at a cellular level. It's something that we have fun doing. It doesn't de-energize us. And more importantly, we've been able to shelve or to remove or to delegate or to empower others to do things that we're not experts at. It's very difficult for us to do. So it allows us to have that type of freedom. So now our children, they sometimes they want to be a part of our coaching sessions. Sometimes they just want to sit at the floor and listen on. They understand our rhythm and flow. So if I'm going to a meeting, my son's like, "Hey, Dad, don't forget your headsets." So they are part of the process because we're building a legacy for them as well. So my encouragement to everyone who's building a business and you're serving, live your life undivided. Discover what's your unique serving proposition. How do you serve more boldly? And you do it so naturally. Once you start there, it's no longer about work-life balance. It's just about it's all part of life and you have fun doing it.
Yeah. I like that. Because then it no longer becomes balance. It becomes work-life flow. And so it now a flow abundantly between the different things that are important into your life and what you're integrating and what you're building and creating. So I love that. Now, tell me how did this business come to be? You said you started in the pandemic. Is that when you started?
No, we've actually been in the intellectual property business for well over 15 years. And we actually started with just one service, which was helping individuals go from no book to a best-selling book. And that has been the foundation of what we have done, because at the core of it, it's all about getting your ideas from your head, from your heart, and onto paper, right? One of the communication forms that has not changed, despite the social media, despite the internet revolution, has been the written word, right? From the Gutenberg press to, the newspaper boys passing out newspapers, that it has evolved, but it hasn't changed its essence. And so we started out with respecting the written word and helping others translate their lived experience into something that never dies, which is literature. Right. And so from there, we knew that in order to do it on a larger scale and be to where we are today, where we've helped over 1,375 people write books, many of which have gone on to be bestsellers, we knew that there had to be some structure in place, right? We couldn't just do it as a once-off or keep telling people, oh, how do you write a book? We had to put some meat behind the machine. And so we sat down and got some business planning and instruction from our coaches and really developed a business around how to write a book. From there, we moved on to how to develop a digital course, how to, get on podcasts, how to really package your expertise so that you don't stay the best kept secret, right? I think sometimes as coaches, the reason why many people struggle in business is because we start off being very comfortable. Oh yeah, well, I'm making a little money. Some people know about me. I have some clients here and there, but then we lose that commitment to the mission of serving more, impacting and empowering, because it's not a matter of us not having the good value to give, but nobody knows about it. And so we created a vehicle where not only do you have great ideas to share, but now it's about letting people know about it.
Mm-hmm.
How do we package the experience of you being, a solopreneur turned millionaire into something that others can learn from, can glean from, and grow from?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where books come in. That's where your digital courses come in. And so we really took that foundation of the written word and then moved it to now a business that's helped over almost 2,000 people to do a similar path, go from their ideas to actually implementing them and then sharing them in a massive way to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I love that you're saying this because this is what me and my business founder have been literally just talking about as we make the transition in life when people find out like about our past work and what we do because I've never written it down in the written word and just to give you a feedback, ladies and gentlemen, before we even came on and press record, she was already I realized what she was doing now. She was asking me questions, so she's like, so tell me if you do D9. Da, da, da. I was like, oh. She about to tell me what I need to be doing with my intellectual properties so that she can set me up for success. That was smooth
There
like
you
butter.
go.
That was smooth like butter.
There's always an opportunity. And sometimes, Terrell, we think that it's so difficult to do, right? Who everyone wants to write a book, but everyone thinks that, oh my gosh, it's going to take me years before I can actually do it. But once you have a step-by-step process in place, it's as simple as writing a book in a weekend, writing a book in a quarter. So I shared that with you to say that if you're thinking about what it takes to go from unseen to actually seen and perspective, it really requires you to know that, number one, with systems, it will save you the time, the effort, and the money to actually get it done. And then also knowing that you don't have to be the expert in that particular asset that you're looking to build in order for it to have the impact that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I agree to that. And I think you guys have the perfect marriage because with that system that you're building out, and with Mr. Trini here being part of a system that was built on intellectual assets, he could take those best things as he learned from there and the systems process mind that you have there to build this perfect marriage in business, which I'm pretty sure relates to the personal life at some point. I don't know. I'm just guessing out there. I'm curious. How did you two meet? How did you guys meet each other?
Oh, that's a great question. It was actually just over 10 years ago. Was my first time to America. I was just passing through America for 3 days for a conference in Las Vegas, making my way to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing some PhD research there. And in an audience of 20,000 people, she was trying to break the line. It was an international conference.
Go ahead, tell me, tell my business. Yep.
Yeah, and she was actually talking to a friend of mine. So everyone is grouped out in this line, is snaking around. If you've ever been to Vegas, they have huge conference centers. So people are standing, waiting in line by their countries. So people from Brazil, Uruguay, Ethiopia, you name it.
Yeah.
They're at this conference. So I came late to the line because all my friends from Trinidad, they were already there, draped out in their red, white, and black. And so I was able to find them quite easily. And I saw my friend talking to this beautiful girl. I was like, I know he doesn't know anyone here. So who's this girl he's talking to?
Yeah.
And being the alpha male I am, I stepped up and, cast a shadow over her and we started to talk. And
and I looked up at him and I was like, googly eye, like everything that you would see in the movie. But I kept it cool, ladies. I kept it cool. But in that one moment, I knew that he was my husband. Because little did he know that while I was running my own PR firm in Atlanta, I was dating NFL and NBA players and really in that space of like 25, single, living the best life ever. On the outside, I looked like a private of success, but on the inside, I felt like a failure. And the reason being is because I was maturing to the point where I didn't want to date. I wanted to find that one person who could truly be my person. And I was frustrated because while all of the candidates look great on paper, wow, he just signed this $17 million, endorsement contract. Oh, he plays for this team, etc. For the life of me, I could not understand why I didn't like these people as my people.
Nah.
And it was a struggle. And so one day I found myself just in the middle of the night, I was just crying. I'm like, Lord, like, just send me somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 months later, God gave me some very specific instructions. I had locks down to my back. He's like, cut your hair. I've been growing my hair for 5 years. Why I got to cut it? I listened. Stop dating. Oh, but we just went out to sushi, right? I'm going to this charity event. Like, I got all these people that look good and, are successful. He said, cut it out. And I did. And I listened. So for 90 days, I was just following and being obedient. Well, I went to this conference, and my fellow business partner at the time, they're like, you never want to go into an event without having expectations. And I was very sarcastic at the time. I was like, well, whatever. I expect to meet my husband. And they looked at me and said, Chantel, you're making a joke right now, but that may actually happen. And so I was like, yeah, whatever. Lo and behold, 2 weeks later, I'm on the flight to Vegas. I hear God's voice again. What do you want in a husband? And typically when I get on a flight, I'm mouth open, eyes closed, snoring to the God.
Every time we travel, I'm all by myself. Before the plane could take off,
I'm knocked out. Knocked out cold, right? And you better believe on that 5-hour flight from Atlanta to Vegas, I was going to do the same. And so
I go on road trips by myself. I travel by myself. Even though she's supposed to be the co-pilot,
no, I'm out. I'm out. There's no use for me here, right? My positive thoughts are not going to keep the plane up in the sky. So let me just go to sleep. So I'm on the plane and I write down 9 things that I want in a spouse. And less than 48 hours later, I meet Mwale in that line. And that was 10 years ago.
Wow.
And lo and behold, he was my husband.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a beautiful story. Now, I want to unpack something that you said there, like accepting these people as my people, because for me, that hits different for me because my mom and my dad, so Black American woman, Nigerian man, right? They come together, right? And out of that marriage came 5 kids. All kids went to college, graduated, all became 6-figure earners and successful out of the hood, right? And the merging of that was from my now perspective of it is, as Black Americans growing up in America, oftentimes when we learn of ourselves, our culture, our history, it starts at slavery, right? This Nigerian man came in, and I saw another side of my ancestors and things that wasn't connected with that made me feel like, oh, I used to be a king. Oh, we run things. Oh, nobody can tell me I'm less than, right? And so came that piece, which growing up was kind of problematic because I didn't quite get along with Black Americans because of that was installed in me from my Nigerian parents, and then I wasn't quite Nigerian enough for some of the Nigerians because it's like, oh, look at this American boy. Look at, oh, it's cute, right?
Yeah.
But all that to say is like, for me, I think there is something beautiful that happens when you take Black Americans mixed with whether it be somebody from Trinidad, Jamaica, the any of the Caribbeans that grew up there with that sense of identity and culture. When there's something beautiful that happens. I don't know. Do you guys resonate with that at all, or what? When you hear me talk about this, what's your feelings? What comes up for you?
Yeah.
It's interesting because it allows us, for me, it allows us to leverage our lived experiences, and I come into the space with a more expanded view of what's possible. Sometimes you hear people say, I would speak to the average American, ask them questions about different things. They'll be like, I don't know. And people who are outside of the space may have a more expanded view of what's possible. They ask questions, they find things.
Mm-hmm.
And from a cultural perspective, sometimes people who are, either migrate to the US, they know how to leverage systems, ask key questions because of the cultural context of where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been able to do that dance together and really
Mhm.
to explore ideas together
Mm-hmm.
and to have a more expanded view of life. And what has assisted her, and even for all of your viewers and listeners on this podcast, I would encourage you to travel. Travel, get an expanded view, travel to the continent, travel to the Caribbean, get to see life outside of the United States, and you'll get to, number one, appreciate cultures around the world. Number two, have a more 360 perspective of what America has to offer, where the true opportunities are, and where the world is growing and developing.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, understand that when you look at movies, because there's a disaster happening in New York, it doesn't mean the whole world is ending. When you look at it, like that's not true, right? There are other things and other peoples and other opportunities, because in the League of Experts we have a wide cross section of clients, people from Australia, people from UK, people from Syria, we have people from
New
New
Zealand, South
Zealand, South
Africa.
Africa. So
Mhm.
a wide breadth of people. So even as you're building, your business, you talk about run, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you build that business, I want you to run differently. Let your rhythm and your
I like what you
cadence,
did there. Okay.
yeah, let your rhythm and your cadence allow you to see how wide the opportunities are.
Mm-hmm.
So run more boldly, see the opportunities, see the dichotomies that are in life, and don't look at it as a disadvantage. There are true opportunities out there, and we've been able to explore that, expand that, exploit that, so others can have great opportunities.
Yeah. And I think that's beautiful because I see more of this happening, I see us expanding, and then there starts to break down those silos and the merging of the two cultures into the worlds to bring
Yep,
something different that we haven't seen before, right?
yep,
Because there's been so much desegregation around the diaspora. And
yeah,
what we're trying to do at Run is like, hey, let's break down all those silos. Let me let
yep,
me get a bunch of black investors from Atlanta to go put an investment in Trini, and vice versa,
mhm,
right?
yep,
And let's take these intellectual properties that you got over here and then make them bestsellers over here, over
yep,
in the UK, the US, and all everywhere else, right? Um, so yeah, I love what you guys are doing. Let's talk about these intellectual properties just a little bit, because I feel like, as I start to explore this as a business founder, that every single business needs to have intellectual properties. It should be
mm,
the go to, the way to go, because most of my consulting and so forth came through word of mouth. Like, I would do one gig with
mm,
somebody, and then they'll tell the services. But as I was telling my founders, look, there's only one of me. Like I like
right.
Mhm.
the I hate to be the only asset in my business. Like, if I'm not working, nothing happens. So what else could we create?
Right.
Right.
So
Exactly. No, that's key. It's like your assets become the representative for you. It becomes the ambassador. So many times as business owners, we are tight for time, right? Because life is going on while we're still trying to build this thing. So, how do you build up local ambassadors for your business
mm,
that don't require your time, your effort, and money, except for that one time of developing it?
mhm,
So, for example, when you talk about intellectual property, well, what are the key assets that every business owner needs to have? You got to have a book.
mhm,
Okay. Your book is the best advocate because long after you've left the stage, left the board meeting, long after you've left the room, your book is going to continue to do the talking, do the transformation for you so that your business becomes referable, it generates leads, and it has that lasting impact that an audience, a person of your your audience could actually benefit from, even whether they're being serviced by you directly or if they will be serviced by you in the future.
Yeah.
That's your ambassador.
And Terrell, when we think about how you really expand your time and your impact,
Mhm.
Leaders are readers, and sometimes we believe the best way we can get by is the gift of gab, right? Being able to talk and get your way through open doors. But at the end of the day, decision makers who write checks, invite you to speak, hire you for consultancy work, they want to read about you. That they want to know what have you done. And if you are not willing to package your accomplishments, speak to who you are, your mission, it's sending a message. It's sending a message to the decision makers, right? And success always leaves clues. Everyone who leads, anyone of note, anyone who's part of moving and shaking, one of the key aspects you see in their portfolio, their key assets. I'm an author. I'm not just an author, I'm a best-selling author. Okay, you're a coach. What do you have a high ticket coaching program? Is that packaged? Does that speak to the results? That or is it that you have to show up to deliver something each time? And each time you're delivering, you're kind of like pulling out your hiney and making it up as you go. So we really want to move, business owners from the hustle so that you could run more profitable.
Mhm.
And how do you run more profitable? You have to be able to have the willingness to package your intellectual property, position it at the right pricing, and build a system around that so it's duplicatable, because success is only successful when it's repeatable.
Mm.
And sometimes we don't have a repeat system. So I challenge everyone who's listening here now.
Mhm.
If you don't have a system that's repeatable, because once something's repeatable and predictable, then you have a business. But
Mm.
if you are out, a mentor says to me, if you aren't able to leave your business in 3 months, go on vacation, and it's not able to run, you don't have a business. You have a
Mm.
job. You have a job.
And many of us have high paying jobs that we leave to start a business, not realizing we just hired ourselves for another job
Ooh.
At, at, at,
at
at,
a lower price.
at a lower price.
At a lower price.
At a lower price. So we've really been able to, number one, rescue geniuses from the confusion in their heads. They
Mhm.
have all these ideas. They're able to execute it from a cellular level, but let's organize it,
Mhm.
because it has to be predictable, repeatable. It has to be predictable. That's where the money is. That's where the income comes.
Mhm.
And we have to have the number two, the discipline. And that's why sometimes many of us we may lack in the discipline to say, let me discipline myself either to get the content out of my head, to the discipline to get a mentor, to
Mhm.
get a coach that could support you through the systems. Because we like to wing it through, right? Oh, I
Mhm.
could do that. That looks easy, right? And then we try to do it, and it's like that meme. 5 years later, have you done it?
Yeah.
Right?
No, because the truth is, what's not documented does not get done. And
Mm-hmm.
so you have this desire to be more prominent, to be a go to expert in your field, and you have some demonstrated success with that. But if you haven't truly documented the process that it took you to get from 0 figures to 7 figures so that others can duplicate that success, nobody's going to do it, right?
Mhm.
You'll become that one hit wonder that people feel good when you're on the stage, but after you've left the room, there's no transferable impact. What we
Mm.
want coaches to understand that there has to be some level of transferable impact. And absent your three core assets, your book, your courses, your signature talks, there's no transferable asset,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So that's the idea behind the intellectual property.
I love that. I love that. Now, we spoke to a little bit of the why. Now, how do businesses, I mean, of course, come speak with you guys how to do this. What was the first key step, or first key steps that you think businesses have to start to learn to break down, or start to implement to get this ball rolling in the process? Because everybody knows now that, all right, I know why I have to do it. because I don't want to be an operator in my business all the time. I want to be able to go. I want to have a business that fits around my lifestyle, not me fit my lifestyle around my business, right? Because then I got a
Right.
job, right? And the reason why I left my 9 to 5 is because so that I could have more control of my time. Hopefully, you set that intention up. So how do you start to do this?
Yeah, great question. So for us, it starts with having a clear roadmap, and
Okay.
we show people a roadmap how they are able to move from concept to actually having a profitable, sustainable business. And we do that through three key phases. The first phase is mastery.
Mm-hmm.
How do you master your message? Your message is the problem you solve, the desire you create, and the solution you provide.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like the Pied Piper song that you run with. You see, I'm talking about run, right? That's the Pied
And by
Piper.
the way, I love the fact that you been dropping run all through this. Like I didn't pay him to do this, but he's doing a pretty good job at it. I was like, run your life and run your business. So let's run it up. Run up the numbers, run up the chat, run it, keep running it.
Yeah, but and that's the message you want to run with, right? How do you when you are very clear, the first phase of mastery allows you to run your marketing in such a way that it attracts your ideal client.
That's
So
right.
if you're tired talking to the wrong people, if you're tired talking with people who want what you have but they don't have the money,
Yeah.
hello, right?
Yeah.
If you're tired being on stages, having a lot of pictures and looking successful, but you're a private failure, you have cash flow issues. We really solve that problem by saying, hey, you're probably not just fishing in the wrong pond,
Mm-hmm.
but you're speaking to the wrong people. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you master that message? Being very clear on your idea, clear on your audience. Then you create the assets that are designed for your exact audience. Because everyone consumes content differently,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are different modalities of learning. And high ticket items, and I'm talking about upwards of $30,000 ticket items. That's where we support people in. How do you create a masterful product that someone not only says, hey, I want to work with you, but hey, where do I pay?
Yeah.
So being clear on the mastery of your message, and then secondly, once you master your message, how do you now monetize that message through building systems, direct sales, developing partnerships where people are promoting your products and services, or inviting you into their communities so
Mhm.
that you can have a discussion about your core idea and how you serve that community.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, it's all about momentum. So now, how do you go from this being a moment like, wow, I finally feel like my business is on track. I've mastered my message. I'm in monetization, getting some clients, to now, this thing, I'm going to ride this thing out for the next 10, 20, 50 years so that you leave this world not just with a legacy,
Mm-hmm.
leaving it, but also living it. And that's where momentum comes in. Momentum is all about putting your face out there, your branding, your messaging, so that you are no longer the best kept secret, getting on podcasts, getting featured in press, and also putting some fuel on that fire through paid advertising. Because I
Mm-hmm.
always look at it this way, what good is it showing up in the world and no one knows you're there?
Mm-hmm.
It is time for us to go from being unknown to being on a global platform. And you can do that with everything you're already doing in your business. You just got to package it a little differently.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people who come to me, especially when I'm doing leadership coaching, and I was like, "Oh, I'm trying to make this transition in my career, but network, how'd you get from here to here? How do you network? How do you do this?" And then people always go by that message. It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? Because I know this, I know this. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And I always tell them, look, I'll give you one better. It's who knows you, right?
Mm,
Because if the reason why I started to make a big jump in my career and transition because there's more people in my arena that knew me, and my name started to get mentioned in rooms that my feet haven't even touched,
mm,
and those afforded me other opportunities, and it was a beautiful thing for me to witness later on and understand later on. I was like, oh wow, That's how I got to this room. I didn't even know.
Right.
There you go.
Right. And so that's why what you all are talking about is so important, because you get people into the rooms that they need to be. Now, talking about those high ticket clients, 30K and up, like in your experience, do those tend to be corporation executive leaders? Where do you find these 30, where do these 30K and up people live? What
Okay,
arenas?
great.
I love that question.
That's an excellent question,
Mhm.
because even as you talk about, who you know or who knows you, one of the masterful creation that we've been able to, the community that we've been able to create called League of Experts,
Mhm.
is being able to connect you with people who don't even know you or who
Mm.
you've never met, which is your cold market, people you've never connected. And it's based on one premise.
Mhm.
Usually we would hear, people do business with those who they know, like, and trust.
Mhm.
But we flip that entire concept upside down by saying people simply buy based on results.
Mm.
If I was to ask you, Terrell, what's your favorite restaurant or where you like to eat? Where would that be, or what is that meal?
Right now, I'm leaning to Island Spice, my Jamaican restaurants out here in San Diego.
Okay, Island Spice. Have you met the chef?
I don't think I have. I don't think I've met the chef. No,
Okay, have you seen the kitchen?
no,
You did. Have you seen them prepare the meal?
no. I just know it goes down good.
All right. So you get my point,
Yeah.
right? So you haven't met the chef, you haven't seen the kitchen, you haven't seen the preparation,
Uh,
you don't probably even know the name of the cashier, whoever gives you your meal.
uh,
You know none of these details, and
uh.
every time you keep shelling it out
Because I
because
know
of
the
one
results.
reason: you know the
There
results,
you go.
and people buy results. So we support individuals to be very, very clear what problem you solve, what desire you create, and what solution you provide.
Mm.
Some companies speak to the solution they provide. Great organizations and individuals, they are able to also speak to the desire and the problem they ease. So once you are very, very clear on that, you are not pitching process. Well, I do this and I do this and I do this. People don't care about the process. They want to know, how do you fix my problem?
That's right.
How do you bring my solution to the marketplace? How do you create a desire? Is it through your retreats, through your coaching programs, your corporate trainings? So once you speak to that, then we pitch you to where your business is sustainable. Because truth be told, your personal Rolodex is going to dry up. Hello,
Mm.
right? Your contacts is going to drop. Your circle of influence is going to drop. Your warm market is going to drop. There's 8 billion people in the planet,
Mm.
right? And they are looking for people who could solve their problems. So we pitch their businesses
Mhm.
in front of individuals who are looking to solve problems. Because so to your next question, that's how corporations, individuals, and coaches who are simply looking for problem solvers. You have a proven track record, you're organized, you have a system, you can clearly deliver outcomes, not a process. And decision makers who spend and invest 30,000 and above, they tie their expenditure to outcomes.
Mm.
There's nothing about emotions. So, oh, you're from the Bronx, oh, I'm from the Bronx too. All that's nice. But if they go down to the bottom line, can you deliver on this? Do we have a proven track record? They're not going to sign that deal. All right, we
Mm.
had a good meal, we had a good laugh. See you later. All right. So our design is taking people through those 4 C's. How do you create core intellectual property
Mm.
that supports the people who need what you want?
Mhm.
How do you connect? That's connecting to your core market, people who have never seen you, heard you, never had an opportunity to meet you. And how do you now convert? How do you tie your products to outcomes? That's where the conversion comes. All I know, it tastes good. You buy every time. That's all I know. Right? You don't want to know the name of the cook. You don't want to see inspection certificate. You don't want to see how they're cutting the meat up. You outcome,
Right.
and you just keep shelling every time. And the fourth C, creating community, and that's where your business is sustainable, whereby you're not going through the feast and famine cycle of always looking for clients. Because once you deliver in a succinct way, just like the product model of Apple, right? Apple and every big business use the community model,
Mhm.
whereby you start with an iPhone, then you go to the iPad, then you go to the MacBook, then you go to the Apple TV, you go through the AirPods. So you go through a community or ecosystem of all their products. By the time you finish, there's a new product. And then you go through all over again because they
Mhm.
understand the cost for client acquisition.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So how do you as a thought leader create community so that when people come to you, they stay with you and they feel like they're at home?
Yeah. I love that. And the other thing, I love the Apple analogy too, because I use that sometimes in my leadership course on how great leaders lead, and the core marketing and messaging of Apple, of how they 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 they, they express their messaging from the outside in. I think Simon Sinek talked about this one time when they start with their messaging, like everything we do, we 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 challenge the status quo to make these innovative, and that I forget what the full messaging is, but the way they message, right, is the reason why they build such a strong loyal community, because they're
Yep.
attracted to that messaging. So it's the reason
Mm-hmm.
why we'll buy an iPad from them, we'll buy a computer from them, we'll buy a cell phone from them, and these are all different entities, but we'll buy it from them because of that core messaging. And where companies like Dell fell, they sell all these different things. Remember, they used to sell the MP3 player and all that stuff, but
Yep.
and they sold TVs, but people didn't buy it from them because the way the messaging and how they built community around it was not to the same effective strategy that Apple did. So I love that you use that analogy in reference to that. In doing this work, what is the most important lesson you've learned over your career?
We've learned that success is not a matter of time, it's truly a matter of team. And I'm just thankful
Mm.
that I have one of the best teammates on my team
Oh.
because yeah, because it's one thing to grow a business by yourself, but when you're able to do it with community, with people who actually are going to hold you accountable to what you say that you want, do it with love, but also do it with a little carefrontation where I care about you, but I'm going to confront you if you're not doing what you said that you were going to do, and then help you through that process of being stuck or being discouraged or not knowing how to get new clients in your business.
Hmm.
All of that is a part of the process in having strong teammates on your team, and then also having a community of people who want to see you win. So that's been one of the most profound lessons, is that you can truly go further by yourself, but sometimes you can go faster when you have someone else.
Yeah.
Hmm.
For me, as Chantal talked about having a team, I think one of my key lessons that I've learned is leverage.
Hmm.
You can leverage is for me one of the most underutilized concepts that people are really missing in implementing in their business. Being
Hmm.
able to leverage, because you're working in a job, your experience in leverage,
Hmm.
because they're leveraging your time, they're leveraging your expertise, they're leveraging your lived experiences, and you are being paid a fraction of that in order to make millions off of your IP, your intellectual property.
Hmm.
So we always challenge people to see the power of leverage,
Hmm.
and when you leverage other people's expertise, leverage, and I'm saying moving from, hey, let me pick your brain a little bit, because we sometimes like to do that, right? Hey, let me pick your brain a little bit. Let me find out what you're up to. That's a moment. But if you come into a relationship, a leveraged relationship, where like, hey, I admit I have no clue about this area,
Mhm.
and if I try to do it, it's probably going to take me multiple times to actually get it done. Let me leverage your expertise, your
Hmm.
experience, your network, your insight. that will allow me to compress time and space and be able to quantum leap to my next strategic goal. So that's been something that we've been able to build in our community,
Mm-hmm.
where as a mastermind, people are able to leverage other people's experience and
Mm-hmm.
expertise, leverage our community because we talked about mastery of your message, monetization, and momentum. It's actually saying, hey, in our community, there's content creation in one space.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sales process where you're able to have a sales team, build out your sales system, actually hit your income goals, and then finally have PR and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to go and try and find all those three pieces.
Right.
It's in one community. Leverage our expertise, leverage our community, so that you will quantum leap to your income goals.
Yeah, and in turn, it'll help you run your life and your business.
That's right.
Ah, I love the plug.
And technically, what we're doing here in this podcast is leveraging each other's community and expertise to do exactly what he just said. So I love that you mentioned that. What are bad recommendations you hear in your profession or area of expertise?
Well, one is that your book is, an asset that you build long before, like when you're in your 90s, right? It's a legacy
What?
piece, right? Yeah, people say that. Yeah, your book is something that, hey, you don't have enough experience to put in a book, or you don't have enough good
Mm.
ideas. But really and truly, your book should be the framework for every new message that you're going to bring to the world. So the minute you decide to launch a new product, have a book behind that.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you decide to add another service to your core offer, write a book about it, right? Because what many people don't realize is that your book as the ambassador is going to speak for you and be that free offer that you can give in order to have people sign up for your email list.
Mm-hmm.
It will be that thing that allows you to pitch yourself for a paid speaking engagement, right? Think about it like this: whenever a politician is about to go into the electoral process, launch a campaign, the first thing they do is what?
Probably
They write a book.
like,
And they
Right.
and they go on a book tour.
And they go on a
they go
book
on a
tour.
book
And that's how
tour.
you know.
They
Yep.
go on a press run.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, and that signals that they are a serious contender
Mhm.
because they want people to know who they are, what they stand for, what moves them. So they
Mhm.
have a conversation piece that informs all of their other policy decisions. And another myth that I hear people talk about when it comes to writing out your core intellectual property is, they say a book is an expensive business tool. And, I'd say to people that once you create your book as one of the core pieces,
Mhm.
you're actually leveraging all your other core intellectual property because the content from your book is what you're able to guide you for your syllabus, for your digital course.
Yep.
It's what's going to guide you for your workshops. So you have different levels. So you're actually leveraging one experience of building out the content. You're actually building out content for all your other core intellectual property.
Mhm.
So if you have to put in one unit, the same unit of energy that you're putting into developing, your business idea or your business focus, it's the same unit of energy you're producing other core intellectual property. So people are missing out, when they kick the can down the road, they're kicking the can on several other products that is ready to be monetized for their business. And more importantly, they're missing an opportunity of being selected for key conversations because documentation beats conversation any day.
Mm, I love that. I love that. Say it one more time for the people in the back.
I said, documentation beats conversation any day.
Mm.
If you want to be recognized as a thought leader and an expert in your field, Let your results speak for you.
Yeah. So document. And somebody who's been in HR, I can tell you, document is definitely going to get you into the door for conversation. I mean, that's why we have resumes, right? I want you to
Yeah.
document, and then in that resume, show me the results. What was the
Right.
how much did you produce at that last job? What did you help improve, implement, or organize, or strategize? Like, give me the results so that I can come in and then we have a conversation about it, and then I decide whether I want to do business with you by hiring
And,
you.
and, you, and, you, and you heard what you just said, right?
But,
Document Documentation happens first before the conversation. So it's the door to all your opportunities, and many people are building a business without a door.
you're so true. You're so right. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people that watch this episode and they're going to get inspired. And there's going to be two different audience members that you're going to speak to here. There's going to be one, I'm speaking to those fresh high school and college graduates. You know, often sometimes when we got the fresh high school college graduates, I remember when I used to go speak with them, they think, oh, I got the degree now. So I got the documentation because I got the degree. And so I should be making this 86-figure K job because now I got my degree. That's my documentation. And then they'll come in and I was like, but you haven't done anything yet. All you did was learn a theory. I did, like, have you put it into practice? Like, let me see your results, right? And then they want to go into something. And then there's the other group of people who have, you know, been unfortunately stuck in the dead end job for some time and they need to make a pivot, right? And, you know, sometimes they need some inspiration to make that pivot. And sometimes it's through hearing the podcast like yours, like, you know what? I'm going to go into entrepreneurship now and I'm going to do this. When you think about those two group of people, what's some advice you would give to both of them on how to pivot from their current situation into entrepreneurship? Like from the fresh graduate who was like, oh, these deals ain't knocking, so I'm gonna go into entrepreneurship, versus, you know, the person who's been in their career for some time and they're making that pivot. What's some advice you would give?
Yeah. Well, to the college graduate, I would say have a clear plan. I know sometimes we may want to do things based on intuition or it's not working out, especially in the information age where everything is beating at us and you could do several things and you become distracted. So having a plan causes you to give your idea a chance to win. And most times I've seen with young entrepreneurs who go into entrepreneurship, they don't even stick around for their breakthrough. They try probably 3-4 times. Oh, it's not working. And it's like that caricature picture of the guy who's digging a diamond field. And he's digging and he stops. And just 3 inches on the other side was an entire diamond field waiting. Right? So if you have a plan, if you have a clear plan, a systematic way, then you have a fair way of measuring your progress. So it's
That's
not
right.
emotional, it's not intuition, it's not because someone says something. You have a metric by which to measure your progress, to measure what you're working on. And that's how you could have an objective way of assessing your progress. So my biggest advice to, persons who have now graduated and you're looking to venture into entrepreneurship, have a plan and work the plan and work the plan till it works.
Yeah.
Work the plan till it works. So that will be my biggest advice. I've seen it so many times. People will come to us with ideas and they were about to abandon the idea. We were like that at one point in our business experience during the pandemic, right? Everyone was using this, what I would call this sexy business term, pivot, pivot, pivot. Everyone's talking about pivoting. We need to pivot. We need to pivot. But we challenged that concept and we persevered instead of pivoting.
Right.
And during the pandemic was one of the highest time in our business.
We were able to grow by 300%.
Nice.
During the pandemic, which was significant for us because we remember being at the point where we felt stuck. So to those who feel stuck in a dead end job and you're thinking about entrepreneurship, one of the best gifts that you can give to yourself is sticking with your employer. We call it your investor,
Ah,
because your
love that.
investor, yeah, your job is going to help to fund your business idea
Uh-huh.
and stick with them until you're able to sustain, replace your income that you're getting on your job.
Mm.
Because during the pandemic, while people were pivoting, we were persevering because we actually did not have an investor. And we know how challenging it could have been had we not had the right safety measures in place, like a savings, like a retirement plan, that in the event no one was buying anything during the pandemic,
Mhm.
we would still be okay. And so while you want to leave your job, make sure you have some measures in place that there's some safety net in case things don't work out initially with your business idea.
And that's the fundamental difference between hustling and running hard.
Mm. I think that's a book, like Persevere Over Pivot, the fundamentals
Mm-hmm.
between hustling and working hard.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
We got y'all doing all sorts of puns here today. Like I'm gonna have to re-listen to this because I've been dropping some jewels over here. So quick question though to follow up with you know eh, when you're working hard as a boss, how do you really make sure you get what needs to be done finished when you're the boss?
Mm. Now, that's always going to be an interesting dynamic because when you are the boss, the question becomes, are you doing everything? Are you bossing up and doing everything?
Mhm.
Or do you have systems in place to delegate, right? I've struggled with that in business by thinking that I was the best at everything and no one else was capable of running the show absent me. Well, what did that leave me? It left me tired. It left me overwhelmed and dropping the ball more times than I like to mention because I didn't have the muscle of delegation. So while it
Mm.
may feel attractive and very glamorous to feel like you're running the show, as a boss, you want to make sure you have a team around you so that you're not the best thing in the office. Have people who are there who are smarter than you that's able to take out things from your plate so
Mhm.
that you can truly boss up.
Yeah, and getting, as you will know from an HR perspective, getting the right people on the bus is one part, but having the right people sitting in the right seats, that's the
Mm.
next part. So, being able to observe your team, being honest as an owner and as an executive to reassess not just your strengths, but some of, well, we don't call it just weaknesses, but opportunities.
Mm.
So assess your opportunities. This is a gap for me. And then thirdly, always ask yourself the question, what I'm working on, is this working in the business or on the business? So
Mm.
I always have to do that dance. Working on the business is having that forward trajectory view of where we need to go. Working in the business is the day-to-day activities
Mhm.
that could get you bogged down.
Mhm.
And sometimes, just like being a distracted driver, if you're bogged down and you look up,
Hmm.
you could crash.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So if you find yourself, if you assess your entire week and you realize all of your activities, or I use a percentile, if over two-thirds of your activities is working in the business, then that's a clear signal that you need to bring in someone to support you.
Mm.
You should at least, at minimum, have two-thirds of your time as a business owner working on the business, moving the business forward.
Mhm.
So it's a statement we use in our community where you're leveraging our expertise so that we could work in your business so you could work on your business.
Mhm.
So, and what you work on is either delivering the trainings, developing the partnerships, doing the things you love doing that you
Mhm.
don't get tired. Like, your partner will say, come on, come off the phone. We gotta go eat. Yeah, I'm coming. Like, this is what you love doing, right? This is where you do it for free, right? It's okay. It's cellular to you.
Wait.
And that's where people, the faster you get to that place is the longer you're going to stay in the business.
Yeah,
The faster you get to that place is where you're going to be able to stay.
this reminds me of something. That there's this book called The Big Leap, which I'm about to dive into a little bit more here. That a friend uh, had referred me to, and in this book they talk about um there's your field of things that you do good, and there's your field, your expertise, and there's your field of genius, right? What you want to be doing is operating in your field of genius, because that's where you're going to get
Yep.
the maximum returns. Like, there's what you're good at, you could do it. You know, it's not hard for you to do, but it's not something you love to do. And then there's the things that you're expert in, that brings value, and that you're good in doing it. And it's more of like even kill. Like, I can do it, I cannot do it. Big deal. But there's your genius, which gives you energy, and it like when you're in it, the stars align, everybody lights up around you. Like, man, I pay $1 million just to have that 1 minute with them again in that area of genius, right? And that's where you need to
Right.
be
Right.
operating as a business owner, and doing that thing that's going to propel your business forward, and let other people do the rest.
Mhm.
That at
Got
least
it.
that's the
Got
way
it.
I
Got
look
it.
at it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
We wanted to call ourselves the League of Genius, but we're like, people might say, it's a little too intimidating.
All right, let's.
But definitely, people do light up when they are able to really
Uh,
touch their core, to touch their center, the space that they've been called to serve, and people like, this is what I need.
Yes.
There. So, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Hmm. We have really enjoyed the journey. I mean, everything from waiting to have children until like 2 years after our marriage was
Uh,
a great decision. So we really don't have any like rear view mirrors, like regrets. I think
I think I have one.
you do. Oh, let me
I
see.
do
It
have
better not
one.
involve me now.
No, I do have one. I have one, which is really living, the geo arbitrage life, doing that sooner.
okay, break
And what
that
that
down,
simply
because I don't
means,
even know what that is.
yeah. So what that means is, so Chantel, before I married her, she lived in South Africa for over a year.
Uh-huh.
She worked as the communications director for the Ubuntu Institute, and
Okay.
when she met me, as a matter of fact, I stole her from
You're not going to say that live on air. No.
let's just say there was a royal family who was interested in her, and then she heard my Trini stuff and she changed her mind. That's
I
all I
changed
was.
cultures.
She changed culture, she changed zip code, she changed location. And there was another guy who had signed a $15 million visa contract. But when she got in touch with me, she was like, I
Once
found
she
more
found
than
out about that Trinity living, she's like, ooh,
that.
me like waiting to
but,
exhale,
but
you know?
but before we go, it was basically understanding how you could leverage working from different parts in the world
Mm-hmm.
and still impact where your roots are. So
Mm.
there are people who are moving to Costa Rica, Panama, to the Caribbean, being able to live that vacation and still be highly productive
Mm-hmm.
and highly impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is in our second tier of our business. We have been exploring that even more regularly.
I love
So we
that.
spend a little more time in the Caribbean. We travel to different places and still have clients, in different parts of the world,
Mm-hmm.
or be based in the US. So it's a lifestyle I encourage others to check out. It's called
Mm-hmm.
geo arbitrage, being able to live at a different geographic location, but still do commerce in a different country.
Yeah. Chantel, have you always been like that, or was that something? Were you in the beginning life
Yeah,
cycle of that when you met him?
I hate to admit, but I've been an entrepreneur for, I always say, I can't remember actually having a real job. It's been ingrained in me because my mother, I saw her as a single mom raising
Mm-hmm.
5 children, always tell me, Chantel, you want a job where people don't have to tell you when to show up, where to show up, and you can't be a minute late from. Because her job was always at risk as a bus driver in the city of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't be a minute late for work. Do you know how difficult that is raising 5 children by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And at any moment, she could lose her job, lose the income that sustained everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that anxiety that I grew up feeling as a third party experience was just so overwhelming for me that I listened to my mom. And even though I got the degrees, I went to school, I did the whole thing, I always knew that I had to build something for myself that no one could take away from me.
Mm.
And so that is where that entrepreneurial spirit came from. And that is something that has sustained us through our business today.
Nice. I love it. So, all right. Well, let's end off like this because I feel like I could talk to you guys for hours, and I don't do the Joe Rogan type podcast. Although I'm sure you got enough content to do that, but that's not my brand. So, what current projects are you currently working on? And where can people find you? And tell us a little bit about the Bestsellers Academy. I know you got it all posted in the background there, so tell us a little bit about that too.
Yeah, so you can find us in the League of Experts. So join LOE.com. Join LOE.com. The Bestsellers Academy is just one part of the process where we help people
to become,
craft best-selling ideas
and become
build
best-selling businesses.
Yeah, so that's just our drive.
I love that. I love that. And as we end off, give me some words of wisdom. What's one life lesson that life has taught you that we could leave our listeners with as we end off our episode today?
Yeah, trust your instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Trust your instincts. There are enough individuals who need what you have that you will be successful. And at our core, we know that, but sometimes we don't trust ourselves to say, okay, I'm actually going to put my hat in the race for the speaking engagement. I'm actually going to make the course. Trust your instincts to know that what you know is valuable, that has helped so many people for free. They always call you and saying they need advice, but you don't have a price for it.
Mm-hmm.
Trust your instincts that it will work once you put systems and structure behind it.
Mm-hmm.
They always need your advice, but you don't have a price.
Ah!
Yeah. So that's wonderful. It really speaks to the mindset of what you do from an unconscious place that gives so much value that to others you've undervalued because it comes so naturally. So we want to challenge you. Leave it with a clear call to action. Look at the things that come so naturally to you that you've undervalued, but to others it's a lifeline. It's everything, and that core area is where you want to be able to manage and to leverage your leverage of expertise.
Yeah, why do it for free when you could do it for a fee? Reach out to the League of Experts today so you could be a bestseller to help you run your life and your business.
Ooh. Oh, we got something there. That's the next advertisement.
That's the next advertisement right there. You heard it first. Thank you so much for coming on to Rise Urban Nation today. We appreciate you. We salute you and keep up the great work. I don't know what we're going to do together in the future, but I know there's something on the horizon for us. So stay tuned. And I'm going to put all of their links to everything in the show notes below when you listen to this episode. Thank you again and have a great day, everybody.